The investing journey, it has to be started. It's like any journey, it doesn't get underway until you actually start. So I thought, what a great opportunity to talk about your personal journey, if you're happy to share some of it with us.
Yeah, sure.
Certainly from an investing perspective, we'll keep it in that lane.
Right.
And more specifically, some of the things that you've done and maybe some of the processes that I guess we teach and coach on and how you've applied them personally. So, creating wealth in your late teens and early 20s. For a lot of people, it's something you don't think about. One day I'll get around to sorting it out. You've obviously grasped that pretty hard and fast. So tell us a little bit about how it all started.
Believe it or not, I still remember this day. I was driving to an Australia Day party and I was about 18 or 19. And I made the decision that day that I was going to save for a house. And that's literally how all of this started. I just, for whatever reason that day, I said, I'm going to save for a house. Also happened that I just pretty much started with you just the summer before that. So I guess I was exposed to a lot of the values and teachings, which a lot of our readers will pick up in the book. Although, 18, 19 years old, I was in the thick of it. I was ready there.
It's interesting. So you set it as a goal, and I know you're mad on goal setting and more importantly, goal attainment. Talk's cheap, money buys the whiskey. It's like, I'd love to own a house, I'm going to start saving, but you've actually followed through. What were some of the steps that you put into play to actually make it a reality rather than a dream?
I guess I was at that stage where I was coming to the end of my uni degree. I maybe had a semester or two left, I would say. I just started working with you with work experience. I was still working for my dad at F45 as a bit of pocket money. I was at that stage where I'd seen you and I'd seen what you taught and the values at which you pressed to our clients, and I'd also seen our clients living and breathing that too. And I guess it was in that situation where I said, do you know what? I'm going to make a decision here. I could either go to this party, because as I say, I was on the way to this party, and be like all the other people there and just be happy floating and just be happy average and, spending all their money on the weekend on alcohol and food and whatever. Or I could take affirmative steps now to get ahead really early on. And that was literally the thought process I had. That day I went and opened a savings account with ANZ, and I said, every week, based on whatever I earn, I'm going to transfer this amount into that savings account.
Do you have not forget about the dollars on that for a moment, but what about did you have a percentage in mind of that, or how did you decide what you're going to save across?
To be fair, when I was at uni, I was pretty guilty of spending most of my paycheck until I really dialed in and started working with you, and I developed the savings habit. As I ventured more into full-time work and started going from uni wage to a modest full-time wage, it sat at about 83% of my income that I would save.
Okay, so that's an impressive amount of saving, and I'm going to dive into how you were able to attain that. And I think just from a coaching or personal development perspective, one of the guys I've had the privilege of working with over the years is obviously Tony Robbins, and one of Tony's catch cries is, you never leave the side of a decision without making an action step toward it. So you made the decision you want to save for a house, and that day there and then you started taking action steps towards it rather than, okay, on Monday I'll get round to doing that.
Literally that day, opened an account and said, okay, this is where my money's going to go from now on.
Action steps, what it's all about. So let's try and unpack this miraculous 83% savings rate. Tell us a little bit about what some of the things that you've done to maybe cut costs, or maybe not necessarily cut costs, but really focus on the goal that you set yourself.
I was fortunate enough to live at home, so my parents have always did support me at home. I did have to pay my mum a token amount of board, which...
Good Italian mama.
Yeah. Now I realise it's just her teaching me a lesson rather than anything else. I guess I always worked on the philosophy. My dad always said, as you earn more, spend the same and never have that lifestyle inflation, because then you'll always be in surplus.
Yeah.
So as I started working full time and I started doing better at work and negotiating nice pay rise with you and all that kind of thing, I basically kept my spending amount to as minimal as I possibly could, which is the bare minimum it takes to have fun and enjoy in your 20s. Not much at all. Everything else is saved.